What's going on YouTube? Raj here. Today I am back with a top 10 video. A few weeks ago I did a video which was my top 10 most complex and intense fragrances, and this one is going to be on the other side of the spectrum. Even though the more intense ones are my style, I also do appreciate a fragrance which is a little bit more stripped back, maybe doesn't have a huge amount going on in it in terms of notes and accords. But I appreciate that. I still appreciate that something can be a little bit more subtle, maybe a bit more reserved or simple, and still well done. Quality is the key thing for me, and let's just kick things off. Number 10 is Mandorlo di Sicilia. This is from Acqua de Parma's Bleu Mediterraneo line. I've been wearing this a little bit recently actually. I'd put it away for a while and then I've gone back to it. And this is actually sweeter than what I had once originally thought. A little bit sugary. It's quite sweet from this almond scent coming through, a kind of almond biscuit type scent. A little bit of vanilla thrown in there. It does stay quite linear throughout the entire duration of this fragrance, and it's definitely quite potent in the first few hours. Longevity of this is great. I think it's a great addition, a really great fragrance and a great value one as well. Next up is a fragrance which is not, I've never heard anyone talk about it. This is from the house of Masaki Matsushima, and this is called Homme. So I bought this from the website First in Fragrance, the German-based website, and this one is basically, it's a citrus-based fragrance at the top. You've got a bit of black pepper in there, a bit of some tangerine, and it dries down into this amazing kind of woody, kind of sweet, woody, musky type fragrance, more of a soft musk scent. It really is great value again. Definitely worth checking this house out. Homme from Masaki Matsushima. Up next is a fragrance which, to be honest, is maybe out of all of these fragrances the more complex of all of them, but I still find it quite simple. Really, really well put together. Typical Chanel quality here. This is Bleu de Chanel. I've really been enjoying this. I've been wearing it a lot recently actually, and it's growing on me a lot. I liked it from the beginning, but I like it even more now. I like the Vetiver in here, which kind of stays throughout the whole duration of the fragrance. A touch of citrus, there's a light jasmine going on in the background, which I sometimes get and sometimes don't. A very, very safe, wearable, versatile option, and I think one of the more better releases from Chanel's men's mainstream line. That's my opinion anyway. Next is from the house of Givenchy. To be honest, I'm not a massive fan of Givenchy. I have two of their fragrances, this one and Pie. I used to own a couple of others, but I've sold them. I just don't think they're that good quality, but this one really is. This is Play Intense. So this one is, again, quite sugary sweet, but never becomes over the top, nothing too cloying. It still retains a lot of masculine quality by this sweet wood scent which just goes throughout this whole fragrance. And you've also got a little bit of coffee in there, but the coffee in this fragrance, I find, is not what I would call proper coffee, you know, like a kind of connoisseurs type coffee. This is more of a Starbucks weird frappuccino crazy thing that they come up with. Lots of sugar and a little bit of coffee in the base, but it's interesting. It's not a pure coffee scent. It's a nice interpretation of one though. I do enjoy wearing this actually, and it's definitely a good option. Next up is a classic fragrance. I think this one came out in like the 90s, I think around the mid-90s, I can't remember the exact year. L'Odyssée pour Homme from Issey Miyake. I'm not going to say anything on this fragrance. The only thing I will say, and it's a bit of a negative on the house, I thought about this the other day, and I just wondered, you know, what other fragrances have Issey Miyake actually released for men, which aren't connected to L'Odyssée. I know they have like 1,000,001 different flankers, and they've got out this new one, Sport, which is pretty forgettable. So I'm a little bit disappointed that they haven't created anything new. Doesn't show originality, or doesn't show creativity. Maybe not originality, but doesn't show creativity in the house. But this one is great, you know. I like the fact that they embraced a floral note in the middle. A lot of floral notes were quite popular in like the Victorian ages with men, and then we kind of went through this phase of kind of musky, very herbal green scents, and floral maybe didn't get a play, but now maybe this started the whole of the whole trend off. I don't know. Next is a fragrance from a British house called Jo Malone. This one is Nutmeg and Ginger. The whole Jo Malone house, actually, apart from the intense range, are actually quite simple. A lot of their fragrances are very accessible, and if you're like a massive, what's the best way of saying this? If you're into your intense leathers and musks and ouds, and that's your style, then Jo Malone is just not the house for you, in this range anyway. This one is a beautiful ginger note in here, much more intense ginger than I'm normally used to in some of my fragrances. Very long lasting as well. It's just like two notes working in harmony together and lasting a long time. A really good option, very versatile again, and yeah, worth checking out. Nutmeg and Ginger from Jo Malone. Next is another British house. This is Penhaligons, and this one is Castile. This is a orange blossom based fragrance. It is extremely fresh. I might just get a little oh yeah, it's extremely fresh, bursting full of citrusy goodness. Doesn't last a huge amount of time, I suppose that is the case. It's an eau de toilette, it's a citrus based fragrance. One of my favourite neroli or orange blossom based fragrances, and definitely worth checking out. I do like the musky dry down, but it's more about the top and mid which really dominate in terms of the notes going on in this fragrance. Coming into the top 3 now, and we're going to go to the house of Creed. This is Original Vetiver. First of all, I have to say that I really enjoy this design of this bottle. Well, not the design, but like the colour. You know, I like to have this in Original Santal as well, where it just goes from a light green all the way to a much darker shade. I do like that. This is a very, very different vetiver. You know, I think I've heard that they get this from the leaf or something from the off vetiver. I probably should have researched it. But it doesn't have that smokiness associated with a lot of different vetiver fragrances. It is extremely fresh. It smells to me like green grass, freshly cut grass, and it's just rained maybe the night before. One of the more longer lasting fragrances on my skin anyway. And there is a little bit else going on in this fragrance, your typical kind of Creed quality there, which is in the heart and base of this fragrance. A very enjoyable one. I do like the fact that it lasts a long time as well. And maybe not my favourite from the Creed house, but definitely I enjoy wearing a lot. Number 2. This is an amazing, I love this, I absolutely love this fragrance. This is from Maison Francis Kurkdijan, and this is APOM pour Homme. APOM stands for a piece of me. It's amazing. It's a very thick orange blossom note, but it is like, I often compare this to 2 fragrances. The first one being Baikalion's Sweet Redemptions, which is, in terms of the sweetness factor, is just like, whew, crazy, you know, crazy, kind of like an ice cream type of popsicle, some people have said. Then you've got Kobe, which turns into a more oody, woody dry down. This one has maybe a touch of amber and musk in there as well. They're not too detectable. It is all about the orange blossom in this. Probably one of the best I've come across. Very long lasting as well, which I did appreciate. Sometimes these type of scents can be a little bit fleeting. Not this one. Going on to number 1, you know, what can I say? My signature scent, Dior Sports. This is the 2012 version. Look out for the silver cap and the black stem. Just perfection, almost perfection. I kind of feel that when I did my review of this, I should have given it higher marks. Ginger, grapefruit, bit of cedarwood in there. It's just brilliant. It's just a brilliant fragrance. Works best in spring and summer, but can also be worn year round, but definitely spring and summer. Works really well in the humidity. I wore this in India recently and it really stood up well where some fragrances didn't. So there you go, that's my top 10. I hope you enjoyed this list, and let me know if you've tried any of these. Do you like any of these? And what are your best simple fragrances? So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.